Hello, my loves, and welcome back to the podcast. It's going to be a juicy episode today. We're going to be talking about why we don't see proof that anything is working when we are trying to shift our reality. I have a very awesome reframe for you and some impressive clarity. That's right, I said it. It's impressive. So let's get into the episode without further ado. Welcome to the Manifesting Millions podcast, where we talk about manifestation, money, and practical guidance to creating your dream reality. My name is Amy Van Meel, and I am an experienced coach and transformation guide, obsessed with helping you get out of your own way and create a life that blows your mind each day you wake up. My goal in this podcast is to share practical manifestation, self-awareness, and growth techniques in real talk conversations. So if you're ready to massively transform your reality, your finances, your relationships, and your overall enjoyment of life, you are in the right place. I am absolutely delighted that you're here with me today, babe. Let's get into it. Hello, my loves, and welcome back to the Manifesting Millions podcast. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'm sitting down and recording this at the end of February, and I don't know exactly what day in March this is coming out. I think it might be the 18th. I hope it is. But anyway, let's dive into it, okay? I'm getting a little distracted, and we've only just begun. It is a very blustery day today. It's so sunny and nice outside, and I was really hoping to go for a walk before the live monthly discussion call that I'm hosting that's happening like just later on today. Today from the day that I'm recording this, okay? Not today from the day that you're listening to this. But it's so dang windy that I just don't feel like getting blown around outside. And I was like, well, what am I going to do instead? And then, because this is how the universe works, it's so wonderful and supportive, this juicy thing came in. So March is all about money inside the Manifesting Millions world, inside my world, because as you probably know by now, the Wealthy as Fuck program is opening for enrollment in, well, if this comes out on the 18th, it's opening up in like 5 days, which is very exciting. So I want to be talking all about money, and this was a really juicy question. So I'm not terribly active in communities. I really suck at them, if I'm being very honest. But I am in this community, and there's a person that asked this question, and I just loved the question, and I wanted to pull it into the podcast. I won't tell anything about who this person is because that would be disrespectful. But the question itself is really juicy. So this person says, I was wondering if you have any recommendations on how to navigate the situation where my brain is constantly looking for proof this is working. They say, I'm doing the things, I'm watching the videos. I'm not sure if I missed it or not. I've spent a life of lack and scarcity since childhood, and I'm so over it. So this is an amazing question, and it's definitely one, oh my goodness, I have felt this one. I feel like everybody who has entered the world of manifestation has felt this one, to say, but how do I know it's working? And it's actually a really juicy question to ask, like right on the threshold of Wealthy as Fuck opening up, because certainly one of the big questions that you'll be asking anytime you're considering enrolling into a program is, but how do I know it's working? How do I know this is actually going to work for me? I'm going to answer the actual question here in just a second, but what I want to very quickly say is very often, and in fact, I would say like the vast majority of the time, especially in the realm of internal growth and development, the actually, like the results are happening, the changes are working, but they're so subtle that we tend to miss them. So one of the things that I share in the FAQ portion, which I think will be coming out next week related to the Wealthy as Fuck program, is like, well, how do I know it's working? Well, if you're listening to the program at all, it will be working. If you do the workbooks, it will definitely be working. But how do you know it's working? Well, you got to pay attention. And sometimes it's going to be super delayed before you realize, oh my God, that thing actually worked. It's a funny thing. And money is even worse for it. So let me go back to the question. So the question that this person said, how do I know if it's working? How do I navigate the situation where my brain is constantly looking for proof this is working? Now, I shared this answer with this person as well, but it prompted today's podcast. And I said, are you looking for proof it's working, or are you looking for proof it's not working? Because here's the thing, if we're looking for proof that it's working from the lens of, I see that it's all working all the time all around me, then you would see that and it would feel great, because your reticular activating system, which I teach you all about inside Wealthy as Fuck, would tell you, it would show you all the instances that are proof that yes, this is working. The problem is, for so many of us, our brains are actually scanning for proof that it's not working. And so that's all that we'll see. And it's the most subtle shift. And it's actually one that has us working in a little bit of friction for a little while with how our brain naturally works. So here's the thing. Our brains are naturally wired to monitor for scarcity. It's a basic survival skill, okay? Like, how do I say this? I say this much better inside the program. So I'm going to do my level best to share it with you here. In order for historical humans to survive, they had to be on red alert for scarcity in the resources. Because if our ancestors weren't paying attention, they would have all died out at some point. Okay. That would have just happened, because that scarcity alarm in our brain is what actually pushes us to keep searching for more, to keep building our resources, to keep building our security. The problem is, of course, that it's happening all the time and it's tracking for the wrong thing. When we are in a place where we are looking to expand. So that part of our brain is actually only interested in, are we surviving? And as long as we're still living and breathing, it doesn't care that you're happy and that you're thriving and that you're living your best life and that everything feels great. It's just like, are we dead or are we living? And if we're living, we're winning. And that's all I care about. Okay. I might keep that. If we're living, we're winning. Okay. So what happens is, and I've worked with this with coaching clients before as well. In fact, I had a session earlier this week that touched on this exactly, now that I think about it. Because we're constantly monitoring for scarcity, because we're constantly monitoring for how do I know this works, but the brain is doing it in a way that says, show me all the ways it's not working. That's all that we're going to see. So in order to change that, it's actually a very conscious and intentional thing. And it is something, and I'm very sorry to tell you, I hate being the bearer of bad news, but it will be daily work for the rest of your life. And I laugh because if I didn't laugh, I'd cry. I laugh because it's the unspoken thing that I think exists in all of the personal growth and manifestation world. Yes, we shift beliefs. Yes, we reprogram our minds. Yes, we start living from there. And it's continual effort. It's continual work. Hi, my loves. I wanted to interrupt the podcast really quick for just a quick little announcement for you. So, we are in Money March. And one of the things that I really felt called to do for all of you this month is to host a weekly live discussion call about all things money. So, every Thursday in the month of March at 4 p.m. Mountain Standard, I'll be hosting a completely free live discussion call. Bring all of the questions that you have about money, whether it's related to manifesting money, whether it's related to managing money, whether you're just like, Amy, why does this thing exist within money? Whatever it is, bring the questions to the live discussion calls. You just need to register to get the link so that I can send you the invite for the room. And to do that, the URL is in the show notes. I will send you the invite every day every day before we go live. Not every day in the month of March, I promise. So mark your calendars. Thursdays will be March 5th, March 12th, March 19th, and March 26th at 4 p.m. Mountain Standard, and we'll be sitting down together live. I'll be answering all of the questions that you have about money, and we will go from there. I hope to see you there. When we shift beliefs, which I show you how to do inside Wealthy as Fuck, we shift from like a really unserving, kind of gross, getting in our way belief that once upon a time was doing as good and now isn't doing as good anymore. And we're like, I'm done with this. Please bring me the next thing. That belief is shifted. When you've anchored in the new one, you will start living from that reality. But it's a little bit like, think about it like the maintenance on your car. If you never ever put fuel in the fuel tank, you will not go for very long, right? Because your car will just run out of gas. If you never ever, this is assuming that you have like a regular gasoline engine. If you never ever have an oil change done on your car, eventually your engine is going to seize because it needs a little bit of continual ongoing care and maintenance. If you never ever do anything to your tires are going to run flat, they're going to get holes, they're going to wear out, and then you have all kinds of other problems. What I think tends to happen for us, and I get it, oh my God, do I get it? Because there's so much else happening in life that we're just like, oh my God, do we have to do more here? Like, can't this just be done already? I got to tell you, the amount, if I had $1 for every time that I thought to myself, can I just coast? Can I just not have to do another thing for like 4 years, please? I would not have to do any other work in my life because I would have already like stocked my retirement fund fully, because it feels frustrating and sometimes disheartening when we feel like we've put in the work and then we got to keep putting in the work. And it's a small shift that we can do. Now, this is a shift that and I'm going to share it in a different light here because I think this will help. There's a shift that I've been doing in my internal vision. I guess that's the best way to explain it. As to how I look at my body. So my whole relationship with my body throughout my life has been very interesting. It's been one that's like I've learned a lot through. I've talked about my weight release journey at different times on the podcast, and I've always been athletic. I've always been, and I'm not built like a model. Okay, in fact, we just finished the Olympics, and I love the Olympics so much. Whenever we watch the speed skaters and the Dutch people come on the ice, I like turn to my husband and I point and I go, there, that's my genetic makeup. See, I'm that shape. Like those big friggin' strong quads with like the smaller upper bodies, that's me, okay? I've just given you a perfect vision of who I am if you've never ever seen a photo of me or you've never met me in real life. So where was I talking? Right. So I'm not shaped like a model. However, we live in a world that certainly for women in particular has a very specific view of what our bodies should look like. And what I've noticed, only because I've been really tracking and I've been practicing for so long to be aware of my thoughts and how that impacts my emotions, I've started to notice when how do I say this? When we're watching TV or we watch a movie, of course, you know this, you've seen TVs and movies, the majority of women are not shaped like the majority of women, right? Like the women that we see on movies, on TV shows, tend not to be shaped like the majority of women that exist in the world. So here's a really great example, and this is very interesting because I noticed a shift. It's been a subtle shift, but it probably where I noticed it was right around the 90s. Now I'm a baby from 83, which means that like I don't remember a whole lot of adult TV shows from before then. But every now and again, we watch an old movie or we catch like an old TV show somehow. And the women, while still needing to look and be shaped a certain way, actually are much more reflective of how the majority of women look around me today. Until we hit somewhere in the 90s. And then in that decade, what I've noticed is that the women on TV became very slim, became like these very tiny little things that could like blow over in a strong wind. So they definitely wouldn't go out walking on a day like today. And that is the decade that I became, well, essentially became an adult. Technically, it was 2001, but whatever. Where I started to really pay attention to my body, where I started to really pay attention to the messaging and the examples that existed in the world around me. And unknowingly, because this is what happens, unknowingly, I had decided that's what I needed to look like. So fast forward to today, I'm now 42. I'm healthy and I'm slim and I'm strong and I'm all these things. And I still don't look anything like the women in the TV shows from the 90s. And I feel like the people on TV are only getting thinner. And I'm just like, what is happening right now? Right? It's becoming we've been watching, and this is not just happening for women, okay? This is also happening for men. We've been watching the TV series Reacher on Prime. We've got it for just a little while. And first of all, what's his name? I think it's Alan Richson. I think that's his name. In the first season, we were just like, holy fuck, that guy is enormous. Like, he's huge. And we just finished season 3, and I don't know who decided that he needed to get bigger, but he got bigger. And by bigger, like, if you know the show, you know what I'm talking about. The guy is friggin' enormous, okay? Like, my whole body would fit inside of his because his shoulders are huge. And like, anyway, but I noticed that we finished season 3 and we were like hanging out, wasn't quite bedtime. And so we started watching like some trailers from the different seasons. Like, what was this season about again? And we were just finishing watching season 3. We watched the season 1 trailer and I was like, oh my God, he's so much smaller in season 1 than he is in season 3. And Thor, so Chris Hemsworth in the Marvel series, same thing, like just got bigger and bigger and bigger. So it's very interesting that the women have to get tinier and curvier and the men have to get like bigger. And both situations are ridiculous. So let me come off my tirade because that's not exactly where I wanted to go with this. Coming back to shifting my internal vision. I had this recognition this week that this old residual programming has been sitting in my brain, and it has been the thing to which I have been comparing and contrasting my physical shape to for the last, well, probably not 42 years, but let's say the last 30 years, okay? And what I started to realize was, it's not that I started to realize this. This was the exact sentence that dropped into my brain today as I was downstairs in the gym doing my workout. I'm not a model. I will never be shaped like a model. I don't have a model's body. I have an athlete's body. And it seems small. It is. It's very subtle. But that tiny shift completely changed in that moment how I had been thinking and feeling about my physical body. Because all of a sudden, that small, tiny tweak allowed all of the comparison and the blame that was happening internally to melt away, because now it wasn't anymore about, like, well, I need to look like this thing that I'm just never going to look like. And consciously, I'm aware of that. But subconsciously, my brain is constantly tracking against that standard. It is constantly saying, okay, so the ideal is that we look like, I don't know, Jennifer Aniston, circa 1998 when she was in Friends. And it's looking into the mirror at Amy circa 2026, who will never ever look like Jennifer Aniston in Friends, because my body is not shaped at all the same. And once I was able to see that awareness and let that awareness roll through, it just melted everything away. And I went, oh my God, my body is an athlete's body. Which then all of a sudden it was like a whole bunch of things clicked into place. It was like, oh, which is why I love to work out, which is why it feels so good when I move my body, which is why, I'm so capable at doing so many things. Like when the year that we got married, we tore down and rebuilt the whole fence around our backyard. And every single post, the hole for that post had to be dug by hand. And who dug every single post hole? Yours truly. I dug, with the exception of one, only because it had a giant concrete block and I literally couldn't lift. It took two fully grown, very strong men working very hard to pull the last post out, and then the hole was already there. But everything else, I pulled everything out. I demolished the fence. I dug all of the holes for each of the posts. That doesn't come from having a model's body. That comes from having an athlete's body. So now, all of a sudden, all these things are making sense. But up until this point, my brain had been searching for proof that what I was doing was working, but it was modeling it against a model that I would never be able to be. So when it comes to our work with our money, when it comes to our work with our beliefs, we are, because, how do I say this? I'll start my sentence over again. In order to continue shifting, we are continually dismantling the structures that existed before. So here's the thing about scarcity. Our brain is always going to track scarcity. It always is. It has to. That's how it survives. And even though currently, in general, there is enough food and clothing and housing for, I'll say, basically everybody who's listening to this podcast, there's enough for all of us to have, okay? So our brain doesn't necessarily need to track scarcity as closely, but it's always going to do that. And that's a good thing. We don't actually want it to shut off, because if something were to go crazy apocalyptic, we would actually need that portion of our brain to help us survive. Okay, so we don't want to get rid of it, as much as it might seem like it'd be easier if that just wasn't there anymore. What we are doing instead is, by steadily applying the lessons that we learn inside programs like Wealthy as Fuck, or inside things like the podcast that I share with you here, or the YouTube channel that I share with you, or whatever, or the books that you're listening to, what we're doing is we're actually steadily calibrating our reticular activating system to say, this is the thing that's important. And we need to keep reaffirming that calibration. We need to keep coming back to, okay, I believe this is working. I trust this is working. And even though everything on the external may be reflecting to me that it's not working, I am going to keep operating in the faith that it is working. I'm going to come back to the body, because I think this is a really helpful way to see it. When you start working out, so if you've never worked out before, you've never ever you barely know what a bicep curl is, okay? You're like, squats are what I do when I drop my cookies in the ground, right? So you've never done any kind of workout before, and now you're starting. Everybody knows, who's ever started a workout regime, the first bit fucking sucks. It's the worst. the first day you're like, okay, this is all right. It's not so bad. I'm working up a little bit of a sweat. You're like fully motivated. You're like, hey, cool. But like the next day, everything is kind of sore. And you're like, okay, that's fine. Okay. The next day after that, you're a little more sore. And you're like, okay, well, I said I was going to go to the gym. So I'm going to go to the gym. You go again and you keep going and you do a little bit more and you work a little bit harder. And then the next day you're like, I can't fucking sit down because my legs and my ass hurt so much from all of these squats that I did where there were no cookies getting picked up at any time. What do I do now? So what is happening is our feedback is actually pain, but the internal shifts are happening. The internal shifts from a workout is that your muscles are literally, I believe that this is correct, tearing apart so they can grow bigger, which is always weird to me. Sometimes the body is a weird fucking machine, okay? So so you are building strength, and even though you won't be able to see it on the outside for a while, you won't notice the curve of a bicep from just doing like 5 bicep curls, okay? You won't notice that your butt looks better from doing, 15 squats. It's repetitions over time. It's why we keep going back to the gym. It's also why if we stop going to the gym, we stop doing anything other than squatting down for our cookies again, our bodies will slowly over time revert back to whatever we were before we started working out, right? Because it does take this daily, intentional, regular, and relatively consistent effort. The same is true for our beliefs and when we are changing things around our money in particular. Now, the thing about money, and I'm going to end it on this. Here's the thing that I find the most frustrating about money. I have had this wish so often where it's like, I would like to live in a world where I never ever needed to think about money, interact with money, where it just didn't exist. I could just go about my day and it would be great. And I know that sounds like a really bizarre thing to come from someone who teaches about money and has programs about money and is about to invite you to join her inside a program about money. But this is honestly something that I have felt because it feels like, for so many of us, I think, it feels like we're coming from behind. The problem with money is that you always need it. We always need it for groceries, for rent, for cars, for clothes, for whatever. Even if you live a very unconsumeristic lifestyle, even if you haven't bought new clothes in forever, even if you, I don't know, live at your parents' house and don't need to pay rent, even if like all of your things are provided for you, there's money is still circulating all around you. It's money that puts the roof over your head. It's money that puts the food in front of you. It's money that builds the roads and, creates the windows that we can look out from our houses. It's all circulated by money. When we are endeavoring to change our specific experience with money, we're still dragging along the old reality of money that we have had for so long. And it's that dragging along and the delay in the change in our external world that makes it feel so frustrating. It's the space where you're like, oh my God, I have no idea how I'm going to pay rent next month, or I have no idea how, whatever, I'm going to build this business, or no idea how, whatever. And all we can see on the outside is that like, but the bank account hasn't changed, but this next bill has come up, but my credit card balance keeps growing. And even though the inside changes are happening, our external feedback is not showing that. And the external feedback is actually what we need to overcome. But it's the hard thing. That's the part that's actually the most difficult. I think that there will be a point at which I will add a specific module inside Wealthy as Fuck that talks about how to move through that specific space. I'm still working it out, okay, which is why that module isn't in there yet. But one of the big things is, this was huge for me, and this actually became the root of why I wrote and what I wrote Wealthy as Fuck about. But the big thing for me that really started to change how I related to money, how I moved with money, how I felt about money, was actually understanding what the fuck money is. And understanding the financial structures that are in place and that are available for me. And then shifting some of the language and the perspectives that I had around money. That's all the stuff that's in Wealthy as Fuck, okay? Because as that stuff started to happen, it's like that moment that I described earlier where I was, I think I was in a plank, I was doing something in the gym, and all of a sudden I went, but I'm not a model, and I have the body of an athlete. It was the same kind of moment that I was like, oh, okay, I've been thinking it's been this. Actually, it's been this. And when that melted, it allowed for massive expansion to happen within my relationship with money. But that will continue happening. So I've expanded to a point now, and it's been subtle and it's been soft and it felt like nothing has changed. But then when we look back from the macro level and go, oh my God, actually a lot has changed. Look at how I'm feeling about this situation now compared to how I would have felt about it before. Look at how I'm responding to this experience now compared to how I would have responded before. Look at how I'm handling this, phone call with this financial institution, or look at the investment account that I've started building, or look at the conversations I'm having about money now compared to what I used to. That's what I'm talking about. It's the subtle shifts over time. And the best way for us to see the proof that something is working is actually to take a longer distance viewpoint, if that makes sense. If we're trying to compare it to yesterday, it will look like nothing's working. Even if we're trying to compare it to like last week or a month ago, it will still often, not always, feel like nothing is working or it's barely working. But when we start to see it over a longer period of time, 6 months, a year, 5 years, 10 years, we will start to go, holy shit, that was huge. And this is where I think, I forget who it is that says it, but there's a saying that says, we tend to overestimate what we can accomplish in a year and underestimate what we can accomplish in 10 years. And this is the heart of the problem, that we are so focused on changes quickly. And I'm sorry to tell you that like so much, certainly social media, but marketing has really been focused because you don't want a slow win. You're not here for like, Amy, I would like a win that feels like a win 10 years from now. Like I would like a win that feels like a win 10 minutes from now. Thank you very much. Let's make that happen. And I get it. And that's why so many of us struggle with this sense that we aren't seeing proof of something happening because it's not happening quickly enough, and paired with the brain's natural tendency to be constantly scanning for scarcity and constantly scanning for lack, it is going to use that filter against the last 10 minutes, against the last hour, against the last week, sometimes even against the last year or two, and go, nope, it's all going terribly. It's not going well. This is proof that it's not working. And so we give up. And I get it. I totally understand that sense of giving up. So all of that to say, if this has resonated with you, then I am going to guess that the content and the information, the knowledge, the insights, the tools, the strategies, all the fucking juicy goodness that is inside Wealthy as Fuck is very much going to resonate with you. Enrollment is going to be happening very soon. Again, if this episode does indeed come out on the 18th, then that means enrollment is opening up in 5 days, which is very exciting. It also means that you have a very specific opportunity right now that will be going away very quickly. So for people who are on the Wealthy as Fuck waitlist, which you need to join before enrollment happens in order for these things to be available for you. If you are on the Wealthy as Fuck waitlist, and if you're not yet, this may incentivize you to get your tush on there. Those of you on the Wealthy as Fuck waitlist will receive a $1,000 off coupon for the program itself, as well as pre-enrollment. And I just decided this as I was sitting down today to record this. This particular round of people on the Wealthy as Fuck waitlist who sign up for Wealthy as Fuck are also going to get gifted from me the Breakup with Broke audio program. So what will happen is when you join Wealthy as Fuck from the waitlist, from like you've joined the waitlist, you've done the pre-enrollment, blah, 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 all those things, you will also get, so you'll get the full Wealthy as Fuck program and you'll get the Breakup with Broke audio only program. And I decided to do that. I only just decided to do this today. So it probably should have been on the previous episodes, but it's not because I've only just decided to do this today and I've already recorded those episodes. But the reason that I'm gifting the Breakup with Broke program for people on the waitlist who sign up for Wealthy as Fuck this time around is that that program very specifically actually focuses on the specific parts of our brain that tackle worry, that handle fear, and that handle shame and guilt. And the pieces inside, so the intention for Breakup with Broke was always to be like a precursor to Wealthy as Fuck, a more approachable financially avenue for people to start creating shifts, to start altering how they respond with money. But I want to gift it to you. So in order to receive that gift and in order to receive that $1,000 off coupon, you need to be on the wait list. Okay. So you'll get the wait list, go to amyvanmeal.com/money. It will be in in the show notes for you. So you don't have to worry about trying to spell my name. You can just click on the URL in the show notes and it will take you there. Get yourself on the wait list. If enrollment is already open, that link will take you right to the enrollment page. And I would love to have you enroll. It would be amazing, but there's a reason that we have some waitlist options for you. So you are in the final days of the waitlist still being open. And in order to get those juicy bonuses, you got to be on the waitlist. So get your tush on it today. Don't wait. Get on there now. If this episode has been helpful for you, I would love if you would, I almost said like and subscribe because I was recording YouTube videos yesterday. I would really love if you would leave a review of the podcast. It's going to come to me in a minute. And this is amazing. So here's one of the things that I love about podcast episodes. The same is true about YouTube. They're shareable. You can just send this to somebody. So if you're like, this is kind of a really cool way of thinking about this, I bet that, Betsy could really love this. Does anybody call their kids Betsy anymore? Anyway, maybe Betsy, maybe, I don't know, Sue. Pick a friend. If somebody that you know comes to mind that would love this episode, I would love so much if you would share it with them. Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. And if you decide to share it on socials, I always like to call this out. If you decide to share this on the socials, please tag me. You'll find my social link in the show notes as well, but it's just at Amy Van Meel, all one word. Tag me so I can celebrate you and I can say thank you and I can just honor that space of you sharing it out. My loves, I really hope to see you join the Wealthy as Fuck waitlist. I hope even more to see you inside Wealthy as Fuck. Whether you're on the waitlist or not, it's going to be amazing. This particular round includes a live component. So for all of you who are joining me, we're going to have some live calls. We're going to have some really great times together. I'm very much looking forward to it. And with that, I'm going to sign off for now and get ready for our discussion call, which is starting in just 10 minutes. So I guess I better get my tush ready for that call to happen. I will see you next week on the Manifesting Millions podcast. Bye for now.
Thank you so much for tuning in to today's episode. If you loved what you heard today, be sure to share it with me by leaving a review on your favorite podcast platform and help me reach more like-minded people who are ready to expand their life. If you haven't yet followed me on social media, find me on Instagram for extra love and inspiration by following at Amy Van Meel
or visit my website at amyvanmeel.com. I love you so much, babe, and I am damn proud of you. I am already excited to connect in the next episode. And in the meantime, believe in yourself with the confidence of a 5-year-old.